What is up, everybody? I am back with just a quick Sunday post-game recap of the Seahawks 31-21 victory over the Cardinals. I am rocking the Geno jersey today. I'm proud to rock it after another great performance from Geno and the Hawks to improve to 6-3 on the season. I mean, effectively ending the Arizona Cardinals' chances, certainly in the division. You would think, you never say never, but to put them at 3-6 and now they're 0-3 in the division. Seattle swept them. It's essentially a four-game lead for the Seahawks in the NFC West. I always said I think it's easier to talk about your team when they lose. I've noticed in doing videos and when they win. Because when they lose, you can make these profound statements and say things like, if they don't hit harder here, they don't get this together, it's just not going to matter. When they win, it's just like, yeah, they won again. They did their thing again. Sorry, I'm looking for, I got a bottle of water in here. But I guess not. So the Seahawks take this one. I mean, kind of the same script. The defense continues to play well for this team. They only allowed 14 points. One of the touchdowns the Cardinals had was on a pick six by Zaven Collins. They scored on that opening drive, and then other than that, just late in the game to get back in at 24-21. But their offense was stymied by Seattle. Geno goes 26-34 for 275, 2 touchdowns. The pick was a bad pick. And the 2 sacks happened back-to-back plays on a drive, I think late in the first half or early in the second half. Kenneth Walker with maybe the most quiet 109 yards I've ever had. He is truly like a closer. I mean, you see it. It's almost like baseball. They had that lead up 24-21 late, and obviously the big play to Noah Fant that got him in range, but then Kenneth Walker just did the rest, the last 35 yards. Excuse me, I'm tired. I feel like I say it every video, I'm tired. Was all on Kenneth Walker finishing that game off. He struggled a little bit early. I really thought they'd really focus on the run against an Arizona team that has struggled to stop the run and be physical up front. But Walker was certainly more of a closer today than he was a starter, which is fantastic because that was, Arizona cuts it to 3 with 3.5 minutes to go. They essentially had 4 timeouts because they had all 3 of theirs plus the 2-minute warning. So that game was not in any way over. A 3 and out there, and Arizona's got plenty of time, and all they need is a field goal for overtime. A touchdown wins the game. So that was a huge drive there. Noah Fant with his best game of Seahawks, 5 catches, 96 yards. Lockett, 567, a touchdown. DK, 537, a touchdown. Arizona has done a really good job on number 1 and 2 receivers this year. Makes sense with Byron Murphy, Budda Baker. I know Budda Baker's not a corner, but guys like that back there. They have struggled against tight ends, which we saw today. Disley also had 3 for 24, and Parkinson had 2 for 6. One was on the shovel pass. I don't know if I really count that. I mean, it counts. So we'll put it in there. I mean, you add that together, that's 8 for 10 for like 130 to the tight end. So the tight ends were definitely a factor for sure. So like I said, they've done a really good job on number 1s, number 2s. Tyler Lockett kind of had an interesting day. He had that one on that third catch in that 3rd and 16 where he went down. Looks like he slid down a couple yards early, and that's kind of been his MO this year is to slide down and not take the hit, which I actually respect. I mean, I want Tyler here for the long haul. Usually the 1 yard isn't a big difference, but that seemed like a opportunity where he could have gotten a couple extra yards. But later in the game, after the pick 6, up down 14-10, he took a huge hit, I think, from Zaven Collins, or it was Isaiah Simmons or Zaven Collins, I don't remember. Laid a big hit down on him, and he took it and got the catch, plus 15. That was huge. Get them right back into position to score. The resilience of this team continues to be outstanding. The pick 6 down 14-10, you think, oh boy, here we go. They come out, they get a 3rd and 2, I think they pick it up. I think a 3rd and 12, that was a Lockett catch. They pick that up. So, I mean, they put it behind them. I'm sitting there going, well, that's it, excuse me. They're not going to be able to bounce back from this, and they just do it. They find a way. Geno hangs in there, makes the plays, and no give up on this team. You saw on the sideline, like, okay, Geno's like, that's on me. They moved on. Defense, an outstanding job. It says here they had 5 sacks. I'm only seeing 4 unless I missed one. I guess one is labeled as a team sack. I don't know what happened there, but Uchenna Nwosu, 2 more sacks. He's at 7 for the year. I mean, maybe one of the best value free agent signings, if not one of the best free agent signings in the NFL this offseason. He had 7 sacks now. Bruce Irvin, really, that was a weird clap. Maybe, whatever. Bruce Irvin with the sack. His first with the Seahawks since 2015. His first sack since 2019. Really cool to see. Glad Bruce is back in the building and certainly helping as a pass rusher. And when Darrell Taylor gets back in there, he can help as a situational pass rusher. Irvin's a good guy, just kind of get after the quarterback. He got a sack today. Shelby Harris had a sack. And yeah, then the team sack. I think that was one of those like aborted snaps and Kyler Murray just went down. I'm surprised, I think LJ Collier technically should have gotten the sack, but whatever, it doesn't matter. It still helps the team. Again, they do a tremendous job on Kyler Murray. I thought they could have had 6 or 7 sacks. They had him wrapped up a couple times. Kyler's elusive. He got out of there and did his thing. If it weren't for a couple of those plays, the defense was fantastic. They did have some missed tackles on some third downs. I noticed the Cardinals love to throw short on those third downs. And it makes some sense. You've got guys like Ronald Moore, Connor that are good after the Ertz, physical guy, good after the catch guys. So I thought Seattle missed a few tackles there, but overall the defense was fantastic today. Didn't give up any big plays. DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Green didn't even have a target. I didn't even know AJ Green played. He didn't have a target in this game. Rondell Moore had a good game, 8 catches, 69 yards, but Hopkins 4 for 36. He had the touchdown, and that happens, but nothing major. Robbie Anderson was awful for Arizona. They had 1 catch for -4. He had a false start, which had a touchdown call back. They ended up getting the touchdown on the next play anyways. And then he also had a huge drop. And on the next play, Kyler Murray fumbled at the end of the first half. That was huge because that's probably 10-10 at halftime. And, that could change the whole way the game is played. Other than that for Seattle, like I said, I thought Geno was a little off in the first half. But after that pick six, it was like he just put on a different mindset and just blocked out everything and went right for it. And he was phenomenal. You can just tell it doesn't faze him. I think he's been in this league for so long. And this is his time. And he's like, he looks at it like, what, I've been sitting on the bench for 10 years watching these guys. I'm just, whatever, we bounce back. It's one play. And I know to get to the NFL, you have to have that mindset. But just, so proud of Geno and how he's done. Probably like he cares what I think. But just truly as a fan and of his and of the team, really happy to see that. I said Walker was phenomenal. You look at the rest of the running backs, Homer and Dallas, each with 1 carry. I wouldn't mind someone to give Walker a breather at some point. I was thinking maybe the deadline, they might be interested in Kareem Hunt or Ny'May Hines from the Colts. Just someone to kind of spell Walker a little bit. It's not a big deal, but I wouldn't mind seeing Dallas get 3 to 5 carries as opposed to 1 to 2. Just, I don't know, just to spell it a little bit. I'm probably nitpicking, but just as the season goes along, 26 carries, a lot of wear on Walker, so I worry about him slowing down a little bit. Not from him, but just, it's a lot of carries for a running back and not having that second guy. Obviously, the Rashad Penny injury was brutal, but, wouldn't mind someone else in there to kind of just get 3 to 5 carries a game. Listen, this is an Arizona team. Their players said it all week. This was their season. They couldn't go to 3-6. You couldn't go to 0-3 in the division. They had to win this game. Their players said it. That was their mentality coming into this game. Seattle went on the road and beat them. That's not an easy thing to do, guys. It is not. You're playing a desperate team that feels like their season is on the line. They're not just going to be like, they got us today. This Cardinal team now feels like it's probably done for them. And it probably is at 3-6. And they've already played 5 home games this year. So they only have 4 more home games on the year. They're on the road the rest of the way. They still have to go to the Rams and the Niners. So that's a gut punch loss for them. And that's a tough game to win if you're the Seahawks. That is not easy to go play a team that was expected to compete. It wasn't like they came into this rebuilding. They gave Kyler Murray a lot of money. They've given Hopkins and Green money. They expected to be in the race. And Seattle went in there and beat a desperate football team. And I'm not going to say they ended their season, but they certainly gut-punched Arizona. And I'm not saying this is a game that's going to get Cliff Kingsbury fired, but you certainly wonder. Arizona's a team with Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury that could be cleaning house in the offseason. This is the 20th time I've said this, but I'm so glad that team didn't hire Brian Daboll. Interesting contrast, because last week the Seahawks beat the Giants, a team that I don't think is super talented. They have some guys, but a team that is, I think, really well coached on offense and defense. I think Daboll's a great offensive mind. I think Wink Martindale's one of the best D coordinators in the game. And now this week you go to an Arizona team that I don't have a ton of respect for their coaching staff. I think Vance Joseph's a pretty good defensive coordinator. I don't think he's amazing, but I think he's a good coach. I don't have a ton of respect for Cliff Kingsbury as a head coach. So you go to a team, but they're probably a little more talented than the Giants. They've got playmakers, even Rondell Moore, Zach Ertz, DeAndre Hopkins. On defense, they've got some playmakers with Zaven Collins, Isaiah Simmons, Budda Baker, Byron Murphy. But they're not strong in the trenches. I know they've got J.J. Watt. I'm not sure how great he still is, to be honest. I haven't broken down Cardinal film, but they struggle in the trenches. I thought Seattle's D-line was pushing their O-line back all game. I actually thought the Cardinals' D-line did play pretty well. I thought they were getting some decent pressure despite not getting a lot of sacks. I do think they made life kind of tough on Geno, especially in the first half. And then Seattle started getting some of the rollouts going. It really helped. And credit to the Seattle coaching staff. I'm talking about the players, but Pete Carroll, the culture he has built here, you can't say enough about it. He is definitely in the running for coach of the year. I think he should be the favorite. Dable's up there as well, and there's others I'm missing, so don't even come in here and say, oh, this guy here. Mike McCarthy's done a nice job. So is Sirianni, obviously, and O'Connell in Minnesota. But I'd put Pete up there. Shane Waldron maybe working his way into a head coaching gig, a guy that people are kind of done with last year because Russ struggled in this offense. He's probably going to be getting some interviews at the very least. And Clint Hurt. I think Clint Hurt, I've talked about Sean Desai on that staff, and with Pete Carroll, have turned this defense completely around. Another strong game for them against a team that has some weapons and has, since they got DeAndre Hopkins back, they have scored 70-something points. I don't remember what they put up against New Orleans a couple weeks ago, but 26 last week against Minnesota. And like 40 or something the week before, 45, I want to say, against New Orleans. So, I mean, this is a team that has put up points, especially since DeAndre Hopkins has come back. And Seattle held their offense to 14. 7 of those on the first drive. And I'm not going to say 7 in garbage time because it wasn't, but 7 much, much later in the game for certain. So I thought Seattle got away with a couple things. The DJ Dallas punt fumble could have been a disaster. Well, maybe not. Geno got away with a couple throws. He had that one in the red zone right before the Lockett touchdown to Disley that I'm not sure who broke that play up, but could have been intercepted. And then Byron Murphy had an interception he could have gotten. But if ifs and buts were, was it candies and nuts, or I don't know, whatever, but it doesn't matter. Last thing I'll say, and I'll get out of here, Seattle had 2 games before the bye, at Arizona and at Tampa in Germany. I didn't get to make a video on this, but I would have said if you can come out of that with a split, I'm okay. I can stomach splitting those two. 2 desperate teams, 2 talented teams, at least in terms of skill players. And Seattle got one. I'm not saying next week is gravy. You want to win that game, but you're going to the bye now at least 6-4. So this team's in really good shape. And then after next week in Tampa, which is technically a road game, Seattle only has 2 road games left after that. They'll come back from their bye with 7 games to play, and their only road games are Christmas Eve and Arrowhead, and then they go to LA in a couple weeks, which is probably going to be, I don't want to say neutral, but probably a lot of Seattle fans in LA. So certainly a chance for this team with 5 out of the last 7 at home to really make some headway. I'm going to get out of here. I'll try to do a more in-depth video later in the week, talking maybe a little bit more on the game. Great game for the Hawks, 6-3, 4 in a row, all by double digits. Let's keep it rolling. Please like, comment, subscribe. Really helps me out. I hope you see that I'm someone that does know the game. I'm not just rattling things off here. I understand it. So I will see you guys later. Peace. Please subscribe.